At GridLife's biggest festival, speed meets sound, with 54 cars taking the green flag at Gingerman Raceway. As soon as we get them all here, we're going racing. Green flag flies, and we're racing in GridLife Touring Cup here at GridLife Midwest. Andy Smedegard around the outside of Tom O'Gorman, side by side. Big slide for the ASM 212 through the first corner.
And look at Swenson, does he get up underneath O'Gorman? Looked like he had the nose there, but Tomo able to roll a little bit more speed through the exit at 2. So Swenson has to tuck back in. It's ASM 1-2. Vikings are chasing him.
Thundering sounds here at Gingerman Raceway through turn 3 now. Behind him, Paul Curley got swarmed. He's got Houghton and Robert Thorne behind him, eating the rear bumper of that Corvette. Still 2x2 all the way back through the 54 drivers and teams competing here this weekend. Look at Robert Thorne all over the back of Houghton through turn 5. Curley real slow in the middle. Big slide for Thorne. Houghton's off course.
Just dropped that right tire. Houghton did a nice job to not let it get away from him. And that did give a nice opportunity, though, right there to Kerry James, who just tucked to the inside and maybe picked up a spot. Good run for him. But, boy, I'll tell you, Smedegard timing that start to perfection and easing away already.
You can see the dust cloud blowing away from where Houghton went off course in 5 and 6. Big moment there. He keeps it straight into turn number 10B. Andy Smedegard has a lead now, about 8 to 9 car lengths. Houghton gathered it back up and kept a couple cars behind him, including Matt Waldbaum, a new entry to the ASM camp in that number 90. That's the gray and magenta car. Look on the left-hand side of the screen, all the cars streaming into turn 10B, but Smedegard, O'Gorman, and Swenson lead the way, a familiar trio in GLTC.
Boy, they have been. They've been front runners for a long time, and Smedegard really has this track dialed right now and got that great launch. Then you see Tomo with Swenson still right there. And I'm a little surprised that Swenson didn't maybe make a little bit more ground up on Tomo in that long run from 10 into 11.
Yeah, and having a look at the cars as they come across the order. Thorne up to 5th, Houghton back to 6th. Then Kerry James, Matt Waldbaum, Eric Jensen, Zach Lavoie, your top 10. The rest of the order scrolling along the bottom of your screen. It's been pretty tidy so far from what we can tell, other than a couple scary moments for Houghton and others in that pack. Keep an eye on Matan Rosenberg, that red Miata in the mix, as he tries to improve his starting position from about 12th on the grid.
Zach Lavoie, good start too, up from 13th into the top 10 already. So he's just progressed every year, hasn't he? We've just watched him, and he's continued every time we see him run. It's just a little quicker, a little bit better strategy, a little bit better racecraft, and it's paying off for him. Great battle for second, though. O'Gorman, as you can see, running for Out Motorsports and Out Racing and Pride Motorsports, and just doing a superb job as always for Tomo, but chasing the team leader right now.
In through turn 7 and 8, the sweep back from 7 into that 8 turn, that right-left transition. A lot of weight transfer happening there. Look at Swenson gathering momentum on Tomo. Not enough momentum to overtake him into 10B, but get close enough to him to keep the pressure on. That's certainly a volatile position between those two. Behind him, a couple other battles. Rosenberg under fire from behind. That might be the 99 of Andrew Raines on the back of him.
Well, Swenson this time a little closer to Tomo, coming out of 10. And this might be an opportunity for him to be able to sneak through as we drop back, check things out. There's Houghton on Thorne with Curley right in front of them. That is a great battle itself for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, right behind the front 3. Matt Waldbaum is chasing Robert Thorne just ahead of him. But Curley has started to work his way back through a couple of these cars, up to 4th place now. And back into turn 1, a little dust cloud up at 5 and 6 from another little rumble that people had. Again, that's an easy place to drop a tire as you try to carry speed through that double apex left-hand sequence.
Thorne now right on the back of Curley. There they are as they come out of 2. And you can see the Corvette a little bit more leg as it accelerates out, but under braking, Curley's right there again. But I'll tell you what, Thorne really attacking, and Curley really letting that vet have its head at the exit of 3, using all the track, and it gives him a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch the different builds kind of ebb and flow throughout the lap.
Yeah.
The V8's gaining on the straightaways, losing in the corners. That's kind of what makes this racing what it is. This track seems to advantage the lighter weight cars in the past that we've seen. If you can get one of those heavy cars in front, like we see with Curley and Robert Thorne, it's pretty tricky to get by because they just pull away on the straights. But it's difficult for those cars to initiate a pass.
Well, when you're in traffic, whether you're heading through a pack of cars or whether you're the lead car in traffic, you've got the advantage if you have power. Power is always your friend. Now, by the end of the race, you could be slowing down a little bit, but as long as you can get that car squared up straight so you don't spin the rears up, you're going to be difficult to pass.
Whoa, Smedegard leader is off course. Trouble for the 212. The race leader is off track to the left at the exit of 10B. And just like that, O'Gorman inherits the lead from his teammate.
Yeah, did he slide off or did he have a problem? I didn't see it. So we just suddenly saw him in the grass. But yeah, suddenly Tomo has a lot of room. And Swenson fell back a little bit on that lap.
Yeah, he's rolling, so he might think he's dropping fluid or something. We saw this earlier with the Hellcat Red Eye in track battle, trying to keep the engine off the race course and keep this race green. Great heads-up action. You see everybody jump up positions as Smedegard falls down. That is not what we wanted to see for our race leader, but that will hand the lead over to his teammate, and then Jeremy Swenson, Curly, Thorne, and Kerry James, the rest of your top 5.
There is a look at Tomo, and he did top both of the first practice sessions, and obviously was right up front in the qualifying session as well. So he really has a line around this place. He flows speed incredibly well, and he's going to be tough to deal with, I think. Once Tomo gets to the front on a track that is a true driver's track, he's tough to beat. Yeah, remember last season here at this event, he won 3 of the 4 races back in the spring of 2021. So if he gets out front, he's going to be a dangerous driver for everybody else. Jeremy Swenson trying to reel him back in. Viking Performance teammate Paul Curley is behind him. Then Robert Thorne from ASM and Shaky Dog. Then Kerry James. Here's a battle. Kerry James and Matt Waldbaum from ASM. Another one of those ASM K2000s, bringing the fight to the rear of the 44. Boy, and Waldbaum has just been a great story. We had the pleasure of calling him in the Winter iRacing Series, and he was always a player right there. And like you mentioned then, he was planning on coming and doing GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, and he didn't waste much time. He jumped in both feet in the pool and right to the deep end and is playing well out there. Yeah, of course. And, you know, there's you see James Houghton off track as well. So Houghton is pulled off. He's got problems. Another one of our front runners that's dropped off the timing and scoring screen. So some attrition for drivers we expected to have great results today. Back up into third rather, Curley and Thorne having a good fight for the last spot on the podium. And you'd mentioned earlier in the day that Houghton, that car was really quick, but it's still being developed a little bit. Another S2000, that's Fiona Liu in the Pika S2K. That's one of the other ASM cars. So 2 of their team already struggling here in this first race. But all the cars have managed to find a safe place off course. Yeah, we don't even have a yellow flag on a corner. Oh, look at this now. Thorne taking a look. He's way too far back. I think he's just trying to get into Curly's mirrors a little bit, see if he can distract him. But you can see Curly really good coming out of that very tricky turn 3. Just has that line and just rolls a lot of exit speed. Yeah, so again, issues for some of our front runners. Paul Curley, though, still trying to defend from the 180 of Robert Thorne through turns 5 and 6 and heads up towards turn number 7. And again, closing on the brakes is Robert Thorne. He's got lots of experience in a variety of vehicles. Has jumped over to Formula Drift lately. Has had a really great debut over there. Has experience in Pirelli World Challenge a couple of years ago. And now running in GLTC and keeping Paul Curley on his toes here. Look at this, through 8 and 9. And the 180 is there. Can he dive up on the brakes? Not quite. I think Curley's got the defense on him. Thorne's going to try the outside here, but now it's about the straightaway. You would think this would be, oh, he's got the nose inside. This is going to be just an absolute drag race. He went for the toe, and that is a Corvette in front of him, but that Bimmer has a fair amount of power. He's got the inside. If he can out-deep him, and generally BMWs are known to be really good on the brakes, and it showed right there. Yeah, and through and takes 3rd place away. So move Robert Thorne up a couple of positions from where he started. A great run. So it's going to be O'Gorman, Swenson, and now Robert Thorne that's going to have 3rd place, and Paul Curley will run 4th at the moment. We do have a timing issue on the timing side that they're going to have to sort out, but we'll keep everything in order as we can for you. O'Gorman, Swenson, Thorne, and Curley, your top 4 at the moment. Up towards turn number 3 now, and we'll see if Curley can fight back on Robert Thorne. I'm not convinced that Thorne was that much quicker, and see if Curley can keep touch with him here. And Curley really, I mean, he knew he was had, and obviously if he'd moved over, he could have, I mean, as soon as Thorne moved, Curley really was kind of stuck, because at that point, if he'd moved over, it would have been in reaction, and that's verboten. And so he just sort of had to let him through. But as you said, that doesn't mean that he can't counterpunch and try and come back after him here. So we take a look at James and Waldbaum. Boy, everywhere we're looking, we're finding great 2-car scraps. Yeah, it seems like everyone's kind of packed up and paired up in different groups, and it's kind of 1 versus 1 all over the place. Kerry James has had the number 90 in the rearview mirror for much of this race. Waldbaum's offense has kind of softened a little bit in the recent laps, but we'll see if he can
get back up on the wheel. There's Tom O'Gorman, who continues to lead the way over Jeremy Swenson. Again, we don't know what happened to the number 212. All we know that is he dropped out after leading the opening 3 or 4 laps, and now Tomo's lead has expanded maybe 20, 25 car lengths on Swenson.
Yeah, he's got a nice lead built up, and as we said, he just rolls so much speed, and it's a momentum track. That margin is up to almost 4 seconds that he's got at hand right now. So he's well and truly in control at this point.
And again, throwing the car into turn 2, we've seen that a bunch.
You see the abruptness of when he transitions, and what it does is it really loads those left side tires. Then he can brake and turn, and he gets those fronts really biting, and then the car can rotate in. It's beautiful.
You almost saw Waldbaum sort of do a similar thing there, and that might be Team Tomo helping out there.
Yep,
but Waldbaum is keeping that pressure on the 44 carry James off into turn 3. James is a little bit defensive, about a half a car width off of what you'd consider the racing line to the right, and up onto the curb, sliding out to the edge of the racetrack. But Waldbaum is not quite close enough to make a pass.
Fun watching this duel here. Look at that. Waldbaum really closing up on the brakes into 6. And he's right there. It's about as close as we've seen him. It's going to be a matter of, can he stay there up to the exit at 10? If he can stay that close, he might be able to do something here.
44 rim riding through turn 7.
Great line through there.
Fantastic. Tucks it in tight. And he's driving very, very well, and keeping the number 90 behind him.
And that's that patience we talked about in that turn, exit of 7. You got to stay out of it. If you turn in early, you're going to be slow coming out of 9.
Ooh, he's on him now.
Oh, he is in attack mode.
Through 10B behind him, you see a couple ASM teammates, Zach Lavoie and Ronnie Solomon, fighting, but this is getting spicy for position just outside of the top 5, the 44 and the number 90, toe-to-toe. I think the 90's a little better on the brakes at the moment. Watch them as they get to the braking zone. 5 car lengths now, 4, now 3 as they close in here.
Ooh, and he got James to miss the apex just a little bit, and that cost James. He couldn't pick the throttle up quite as quick, and suddenly Waldbaum's right back within a car length.
Checkered flag now. Tom O'Gorman picks it up, and I think we had to pick up the checkered. Too many cars on course, and that will be the end of race number 1. And again, the timing on the timing side is a little bit borked, so we have out of order here on our screen. It's like that on race 0 too. So O'Gorman is your winner. Then it's going to be Swenson in 2nd, and then Robert Thorne grabs a 3rd. That's a fantastic run for the 180.
Yeah.
And then Paul Curley rounds out in 4th. Strong run for Curley as well.
Very good run for Curley. He did everything he could, but Thorne was just that little bit too much quicker. And I think for James, he may have been grateful that checker flew there, because I think another lap or 2, Waldbaum may have been able to take that final top in the spot 5 away from him.
Yeah, again, it's actually hard to know what was going on behind
just
because everything's so shuffled right now. But I do see Eric Jensen kind of up in the mix as well, so he must have had a fairly good race. My biggest concerns and questions are what happened to all of our front runners. We had Smedegaard and Houghton both have problems, and those are 2 big players this weekend. And here's the big deal, Greg, is that if Houghton didn't get a very good lap, I think Smedegaard might have gotten an okay lap. Race 2 is gridded by your race 1 fastest lap time. So if you didn't get a good lap and you dropped out, you're starting tail of the field. That wrecks your whole weekend.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And that's where, we talked about, if you're back in the pack, there's the 213 that has had a bit of a moment out there, Scott Robertson.
Yeah, Scott Robertson from Robertson Racing. He's way off in the grass. I'm trying to figure out where that is and if he just drove to get off track or if he spun to meet out. I don't see any tire tracks leading
skid marks
sideways.
Yeah, or anything like that. So
he pulled off. That is after turn 11 on the front straight. So he must have just pulled off well clear to make sure that he wasn't going to be in the way. So that's great. I mean, that's
good
again,
sportsmanship again.
I think once we cut this race a little bit short, but once you get to 4 or 5 cars in the dirt, it's about time to go pick them up.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit circumspect at that point. And but the racing was absolutely intense, and that's going to bode well for the rest of the event.